All right, folks, you are live with Lonzo. It's Tuesday, y'all. Tuesday the 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. Oh, my God, it's going to be a hell of a show today, folks. You're live with Lonzo, the Godfather of West Coast hip-hop. And it goes like this. From the West Coast to the East Coast and everything between, folks. From Eve After Dark to concerts in the park. You're live with your boy Lonzo, the Godfather of West Coast hip-hop. And soon to be on the screen, my man Dusty Vision. We do this every Tuesday, y'all. We call it Not With Lonzo, the stories of N.W.A. Here we go, folks. Here we go. All right, y'all. As Dusty makes his way to the screen, I'm going to talk to y'all for a hot minute, folks. I see y'all here. We are here. We got the chat room within the house. Dusty is on his way. Who we got? No. There you go. There you go. What up, Dusty?
Big Lons. What up, my man? Did we get started?
Yeah, we are started. We are moving right along like a train on the tracks, Doc, like we're supposed to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Good to see you, man. How was your Super Bowl weekend?
You know what, man? It was actually pretty good. I went out and hung with some of my fellas out in Long Beach for a minute. It was a great game. Great company. It was cool, Doc. I cannot complain at all.
Yeah, I enjoyed it myself, man. Good game. Like you said, I even enjoyed the halftime show. You know, we're always going to compare it to the one a couple years ago with Snoop, you know, Dre, 50 Cent, you know, Eve After Dark in the back. But what were your overall thoughts on Usher, Ludacris, Lil Jon at the Super Bowl?
You know what, man? Everything was super cool, man. I thought it was a great show. Only thing threw me for a loop was Homeboy and them socks, man, looking like he was
Jermaine Dupri.
Yeah, looking like he was from Lily Pushy. Was it Lily Put or some shit like that, or Munchkin? I threw me for a what this nigga got on? Oh man, no, he didn't. Little Shirley Temple shoes and socks on. Come on, man. That goes to show you that a stylist can make you like a goddamn idiot in front of the world, and you'll do it just because somebody told you, hey, you're gonna start a new trend. They're gonna try and start having brothers wear them lace socks. Man, come on, dude. Hey, that ain't gonna fly. Some cats gonna try because some cats gonna buy anything just because somebody said it was cool. But for the most part, nah, man, that was y'all missed on that one right there. But I was concerned.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I didn't even know that was him at first. I was like, who is that in the little Shirley Temple looking outfit? That's Jermaine Dupri.
Shirley Temple. That's exactly what it looked like. The mayor of Munchkin Town. God damn, dude, come on, man.
Yeah, man. We got a lot to talk about, but let's talk about the Super Bowl a little bit. You know, just some things that were trending this week. You know, Illuminati was trending for these reasons that Ice Spice was there, popular female rapper, crazy hair. She kind of fly though, but her hair is a little funky. But she was wearing an upside down cross, and then there was they panned to her, and then she threw up a devil sign or whatever, the typical devil sign. Then you have Taylor Swift and her boyfriend and that whole shenanigan thing. You know, lots to talk about the Illuminati and all that. You know, where does Lonzo stand with Illuminati talk?
You know, man, it seems to me that there are certain entities that would like to agitate other entities by mocking symbolism to create conversation and content. Okay, we know, although there is supposed to be a separation of church and state, for the most part, that most people, not a lot, not everybody, but some people, a good majority of I'm not saying gonna say that. Good majority of people follow the Christian faith. Okay, and there's a part of the country called the Bible Belt. The Bible Belt is, I think it's around Texas, the Mason-Dixon line. I'm not exactly sure, but I remember when I was making records, and I was selling out of records, certain things could not fly in the Bible Belt. Okay, and when you irritate certain parts of the country, certain people in the community, you create content for Fox News, CNN, Not Without Alonzo, YouTube, and I'm thinking, man, if it's Illuminati, call it what you want, but it seems to me that it's done to create content. It was people that was trying to figure out, why would you even have a cross, period, upside down or right side up, because it symbolizes the death of Christ. So That's like somebody having a Nazi swastika around their neck. Some people just find it to be sacrilegious, okay, or anti-Christian. Again, to have it upside down, in the mystical world, it means something else totally different. When Trump was over at that church holding the Bible upside down in the wrong hand, it meant something to some people. So sometimes things can be put in your face or can be signaled to other people who are into certain things. And again, because it has a certain connotation to certain people, it creates content. And like I said, whether it's Illuminati or just a publicist that's just trying to get some extra airtime for their artists, I don't know. I'm not sure. But it does seem like there is a certain amount of how can I put this without getting us canceled? A certain amount of energy going towards a lot of negativity, and that's the part I think probably has me as a grown ass man concerned. A lot of negativity is being excused just to get money, and whether that's Illuminati or just people just being greedy at the expense of other folks, I think that's not a good thing.
You know what I thought, Lonzo? First person that popped in my head when I saw that upside down cross and then I saw her throwing the devil sign, the first person that popped in my head, Eazy-E. This is something that Easy would have done, dude. This is, in my opinion, Ice Spice knew exactly what she was doing. She's going to be on the biggest stage right next to Taylor Swift. She knows the camera's going to be on her. Let me rock this upside down cross. And when the camera pans to me, let me throw this devil sign, just like Easy did when he was rocking the devil symbol and everybody was talking about him.
Right. So again, Easy knew how to go viral before going viral was even around. And it's the same thing. Some people do a lot of things. One thing about it, she got a lot of conversation time out of this. She's been the subject of multiple podcasts, television shows, and other sources of media. So she got what she wanted, whether it was her publicist, the Illuminati, whatever the case may be. Somebody thought it was a good idea to make that happen, and they got what they wanted, which is a lot of publicity.
Yep. Facts. We're not going to take a trip to the Niggaverse. The Niggaverse hasn't had too much going on this week, so we're going to move on to a few more things. I want to try a new bit, Lonzo, a new bit on our show, and just see where it goes, see if it becomes popular, see if people like it. It's a real simple bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a popular rap line from a popular rapper, and I would love your thoughts on it. I would love to go a little bit deeper into it. The first line of this week, I don't have a name for it, but Tupac had a line where he said, "They got money for wars, but can't feed the poor." Great song, great line. And there's a lot going on right now. We don't have to get too political on it, but there's a lot of money going to certain countries for wars and things like that. We have our own problems here. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's always been that back and forth on that. But when you hear the line, Lonzo, from Tupac, "They got money for wars, but can't feed the poor," what are your thoughts on that?
I say Tupac was a visionary, and he made a lot of sense. I was listening to the radio today, listening to my favorite radio show on XM or Sirius XM, and they were talking about the same thing. Congress just approved, I think it was like 50 billion, 40 billion to go to Gaza, and some more money to go to over there where Russia, Ukraine. And I'm like, God damn. Again, and then you ride down the street and you see all these folks who are homeless. Okay. And I've said it before and I've said it again. It seemed kind of odd, man. If America was a mother and she was borrowing money to feed her neighbor's kids and not taking care of her own, she would be an unfit mother. Okay. How do you do that? I mean, and then we owe China money. We owe China money. We owe China money, and we borrowing money, getting in debt to go fight somebody else's war. Meanwhile, We ain't bought a dime to fix the water in Flint. We ain't bought a dime to get people off the street. You know, we won't put nobody. We won't reinstate mental health hospitals. We won't do a lot of things that can make us feel better about ourselves. We pretty much on our own. And I've always said this. I'm gonna say it again on this show. I've noticed in this country, if you are struggling, they got a program for you. If you are achieving, there's a benefit for you. But if you're right there in the middle, they ain't got nothing for you. Nothing. Okay? It's that way in school, and it's that way in real life. When you're in school, if you're failing, they got all kind of after-school programs to get you through, help you get your math together, help you pass the SATs, whatever that don't cost you a dime. But if you're an athlete or you're an achiever, they got all kind of scholarship programs. But mess around there and be a B or a C student. Mess around there and be a B or a C student. You ain't got no programs. You ain't got nothing. It's pretty much, you be all right. And that's why I always fell. I fell in the middle as a kid. I was a B minus, B plus sometimes, C minus, every once in a while a D student. I never was an F student, okay? I never was an F student. I never was a straight A student. I got some good grades a couple semesters, and things went back to normal real quick. Certain classes I excelled in. But for the most part, I never got offered a scholarship or anything, but I never was in a program because I didn't have the grades to keep up. And I just noticed that, man, even when I'm talking to as the president of the Compton Entertainment Chamber of Commerce, I'm privy to a lot of different situations. And if you're poor, they got programs. In fact, I had some candidates. I've been interviewing candidates on my show, and if you commit a crime and you're homeless, there's potential programs to help you get off the streets if you're homeless and commit a crime. But you got to commit a crime first. You just can't get the referral because you got no place to stay. And it's just kind of funny. And I mentioned that to my guest. Why is that? And nobody can explain that, man. You know, if you starving to death, if you starving, you can get some food. But if you're just hungry and having some bad luck, nah, man, you kind of on your own, dude. And that's just America, dude.
That is so true, Lonzo. You know, you've lived in Los Angeles County for 6 or going on 7 decades. How has homelessness changed since you were a kid? When I was a kid, I remember living in a certain area and there were just a few, you knew where the homeless people were. They stayed in kind of one section, was just a few of them. We knew our home. We had so little homeless when I remember growing up, and I was in the hood, that we knew the names of the homeless. And if the homeless person would disappear for a few days, we're like, hey, where's, Judy, the homeless person? I haven't seen her in a few days. But how has homelessness changed, since you was a kid going on through the years?
I didn't grow up with a lot of homelessness at all. It was not an issue for us, man. Because back then, if somebody needed somebody, they took them in. If there was an uncle or auntie that was kind of special, they had a room for them at the house. You didn't go to that room. You didn't play around that room. You didn't go to that door. Mama would drop off some food, and they kept the door locked, and that's Uncle so-and-so's room back there. Aunt so-and-so, she's special. Stay away from her. Leave her alone. So we took care of us. We took care of our own a lot more back then. I didn't start seeing homeless till the 80s, late 80s, when crack hit and people started bottoming out. When crack hit, I started seeing homeless. And it still wasn't as prevalent as it is now. It became very prevalent in the 80s when Ronald Reagan shut down the mental institutions. A lot of mental institutions were shut down during the 80s, and you started seeing people on the streets more. But again, people if there was family to look out for them, people would look out for them. Before crack, we had winos, okay? And winos had jobs. Most winos were functioning alcoholics. A lot of your winos were functioning alcoholics. They had a job Monday through Friday, and from 9 to 5. At 5:30, he finna get drunk. Okay, sleep until time to go to work, and the next morning he'd be up and functioning and go to work. He had a family, he had a house, he had a car. On the weekend, he might be drunk from Friday to Sunday, but Monday morning he got up and went to work. And that just was a different type of addict. It still was an addict, but a different kind of addict. It wasn't until we started seeing crack, the people who said forget jobs, forget everything. I had a brother that was a functioning crack addict. Yeah, he would work. He worked every day, man. And except for Friday, except for the second and the 16th. He got paid on the first. For the second, he ain't going to work. Yeah, he might not go to work to the third. And the same thing on the 15th. He come back on the 16th, on the 17th, 18th. And he knew that he played the system. And even he got off the stuff at a certain point in time. But again, we didn't see and because he was my brother, I wouldn't let him be homeless. You know, I wouldn't let him be homeless. He always had a place to crash. Maybe it was a form of codependency, but he was my brother. I couldn't let him be out on the streets. Okay, he didn't sleep here all the time, but I've never known him to be out in the streets. And folks, just at some point in time, a lot of folks got tired and fed up, man. You know, and we were talking about this the other day about the impact of being homeless. You could be a perfectly sane person, man, but you get out in them streets and see how rough life can be, and it can affect you mentally, dude. You know, especially if you're a woman and you out there in these streets and you getting abused, you getting mistreated, and you have some other issues, and you must find somebody give you something so they can get to have their way. Next thing you know, your brain cells is dysfunctioning, and you got a problem. And now, it becomes a way of life. You don't trust people no more. You don't trust anybody.
Yeah, man. If you had a magic wand, what would you do to change things? If you had a magic wand and unlimited resources at the palm of your hands in a hypothetical world, what would you do?
I would, I definitely would do my best to cure homelessness, because that's kind of sad, dude. And you have to figure out how to unhandcuff law enforcement and social services to be able to assist people who don't know they need help. And basically, in order for you to get help, you have to be a direct threat to yourself or somebody else or somebody's property. Okay, you got to be a direct threat to yourself or somebody's property, and even property can be subjective. Okay, but if you're a physical threat to yourself or someone else, you'll get help. Again, you may be talking to yourself walking in traffic, okay, but you ain't blocking traffic, you ain't threatening to get hit, but you just walking down the street naked. That ain't enough to get you get you some help. That ain't enough, because you're not a threat. You just walking down the street naked. And these are the kind of things we have to address. But again, because we've gotten to be such a wussy country, well, they have the right to walk down the street naked. Maybe they do, but maybe there's a reason why she's walking around the street naked. Maybe she don't. Maybe she don't know she's naked. That's a whole nother problem by itself. Hey, man. This is the kind of madness we're dealing with. I was at a meeting in Compton recently. We're talking about prostitution and mini bikes. Well, everybody's so concerned that if a cop takes after a mini bike guy riding a mini bike, and he runs in traffic and he gets hit by a car, that they're going to sue the sheriff department for pursuing him. Well, these guys are darting out of traffic every day with no helmets, doing
all
wheelies,
the time.
doing wheelies the whole 9 yards. Who's responsible for that? If you went over, if you kill one of them because you don't see them, you hear them before you see them. Same thing with prostitutes, or they're victims. Some of them may be victims, but a lot of them just trying to pay some rent. Okay, it's a little bit different. If somebody got you out there, got you out there by force or whatever the case may be, that's a victim. When you out there just trying to get paid because you want to make some money to go do something, Beyonce ticket, whatever the case may be, that's a little bit different, dude. So victims begot new victims, and I don't understand that, dude. When you see it, when a young girl sees other young girls out in the streets, half naked, selling their bodies, and we don't say or do anything, that gives them license to do the same thing. Silence is approval, man. Silence is approval.
You ain't lying, Lonzo. You ain't lying. Let's do one more line, rap line. before we jump into some questions. And I got all your questions, so keep them coming. I'm copying and pasting everything, everyone in the chat. Here's one from Keep Your Head Up. One of my favorite Tupac songs. This line is, and since we all came from a woman, got our name from a woman, and our game from our own woman, I wonder why we take from our women, why we rape our women. Do we hate our women? When you hear that, Lonzo, what are your thoughts? That's a very powerful line.
You know, man, women are the backbone of society. That's true. Women are the ones that nurture the children and put them on the direction for their lives. My daddy raised me for the most part. My mama put me on the right direction. So my daddy had his influence. She had taught me all the basics. He taught me how to be a man. And when you lose that connection, and it's like having a kite with no tail. You ever flew a kite back in the day?
Of course, yeah.
It's like flying a kite with no tail. You know, you go up in the air, but you can't control it. And moms is that one that give you that tail, give you that direction, to teach you your basic manners, how to be polite, how to respect people. And your pop shows you how to be a man, or mom may show you how to be a woman. Your dad may have influence on that as well. So, but again, the 80s was such a controversial time, man, till you had moms at that time in their 30s and 40s that was hooking up with the dope dealers and the gangbangers. In my era, we didn't have that. Our mothers, you know, and I was looking on Facebook the other day, and they were showing 40-year-old homegirl from Golden Girls. She was 40, and they showed Jennifer Lopez at 40. It's a different kind of 40.
That's fact.
Okay? It was a different kind of 40. At 40, you was a grandmama. You was pretty much a grandmama. You was ready to wrap it up. Your husband had a good job. You got a few more years before you get that pension. And it was a different era. Now at 40, you got on your Jordans. You going to the club. You still doing certain things. You still cool. And those different eras changed motherhood. In a lot of ways. You got mothers that compete with. If you got a daughter 20, you could be 40 with a daughter 20. Y'all gonna end up at the same club, and so y'all could very possibly end up at the same club. Okay, if there were still clubs in LA, all right, y'all may still be interested in doing the same thing. Mama 21, daughter 20, mama 20, mama 41, daughter 21. Okay, y'all could go to the same places and do the same stuff. All right, and thanks to BBLs and cumbrellas and weaves and all the other stuff, shit, mama gonna look good. Mama still gonna look pretty good. Mama gonna still look pretty appealing at 41 years old. I remember when I saw Janet Jackson when she did her thing at the Super Bowl. I said, "Oh, I made a comment. Ain't nobody want to see no 40-year-old titties. Bullshit. I got roasted on that one, boy.
I was praying for a wardrobe malfunction, dog.
I got roasted on that one. So yeah, Doc, the 40, time has changed everything. I'm 66, man. I don't do a 66 up, but most 66-year-old dudes do. The hip hop lifestyle, the attitude. Most of my buddies who I roll with don't do what our daddies did at 66. I still got a lowrider in my garage. Not a lowrider, but I got a cruiser in my garage, man. I'm laying floors a day. I got a podcast. How many 60-year-old men got a podcast? So it just, times and the times have changed, the attitudes, of a lot of people, man, including myself.
Let me ask you, Lonzo. Isaiah brought up a good movie. I've seen it maybe once or twice, but I know the whole gist of it, and I appreciate it when I saw it. But have you seen Baby Boy all the way through, the movie Baby Boy?
Of course.
Okay, cool. I thought that was a powerful message, and like I said, I've only seen it once or twice, but I, for some reason, know it from front to back, and it was mainly the message in the movie. Baby Boy, a boy who grows up without a father. He runs to his mother looking for help every time he's in trouble with something. Talk about Baby Boy, man, and how powerful that message was.
I've seen Baby Boy up close and personal. When you have a son that has either been rejected or not been accepted by the dad. Mom overcompensates, and the boy never gets a chance to really spread his wings and become a man. He starts making babies, and he don't understand that those are his responsibilities. He's never been taught responsibility. See, the one thing about a dad, most dads, they're gonna teach you responsibility. You can't do this in my house. You can't do that in my house. Mamas will overlook some things that daddy ain't gonna overlook. Mama will overlook some things, and that was going back to the dope era. That was a big influence on the dope era. When your son's bringing home $4,000-5,000 a week, mama can overlook him selling dope, knowing he got a gun in his pocket, she'll overlook that. He paying bills and helping out in the house. He became the man, and then you may have mama being seen doing certain things that most mamas wouldn't but mamas back in the day wouldn't be caught doing. You know what I'm saying? And so you got that. You go back to the Tupac part where you learn to hate women because you see them applying themselves or letting themselves be used in ways that you don't feel as comfortable. You know, no man wants to see nobody with his mama. Okay. Some cats get mad when their daddy get with their mama. Okay. You know, if you want to piss a dude off, man, just say something about his mama and it's oral sex. Niggas don't think about that shit. Oh, your mama can knock him off, boy. Man, you can't play like that. So if your mama in real life, you out there in the streets and your mom is kind of busy with some folks in the streets, and this, homies, daddies, whatever the case may be, that gives you a disdain for your mom. And if you don't love your mom, man, you can't. It's going to be hard to love any of the women, man. It's a trust thing. That bond is broken. That trust and that bond is broken, dude. So if you can't trust her, who you gonna trust? If she breaks your heart by doing something that you think is totally disgusting, and Baby Boy was another verse of that, another example of that, because homeboy, he butt ass naked making breakfast.
Ving Rhames.
He butt ass naked making breakfast. He wasn't making breakfast butt ass naked because he was gonna wash the car. Okay, he was not butt ass naked making eggs because he was gonna wash the car. And so now your mama becomes human. She becomes she ain't that pure innocent woman that you thought she was as a kid. She's a human being with needs like everybody else. But because you're a grown ass man and you know how you do your women, you don't want nobody to do your mama in the same way. And that was one of the Baby Boy things. Homeboy figured he was using everybody. He got somebody using his mama. So he thought, and he couldn't stand that. Because that was his woman. That was his house. Grandmama left us this house. This is our house. Why I got to leave? Plus his brother got killed out in the streets. And he felt that, that was his crutch. That was her reason for being so protective of him, because she didn't want to lose him too. And he used that against her. Maybe she had some guilt. I'm not sure. Maybe she had some guilt about her son getting killed. And he used that against her to keep his grown ass in the house while he riding this big ass bicycle as opposed to having a car. Meanwhile, he got kids two kids by two different women, playing both of them. So yeah, Doc, he didn't have any real role models until Ving Rhames came into his life and kind of got him straight after a while. But again, there was a lot of resistance on that because he knew what he was doing. It ain't no fun when the rabbit got the gun. Okay, he knew what he was doing to other women. He didn't want to see it done to his mom, and especially not in the house that he was living in.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, I've only seen that movie all the way through once, maybe twice. But one other thing that stands in my head that I'll never forget is that vision of Snoop Dogg's skinny ass in that motherfucking white tank top, just laying on the couch. I was like, damn, Snoop is skinny.
Yeah. That wasn't no makeup either. Damn it, that was real. That was real Snoop double OG.
That was Double OG, man. All right, we're almost halfway through the show. I'm going to remind everybody to hit that like button if you haven't already, and please hit that subscribe button if you are new to the channel and you like what you hear. You are tuning in to N.W.A. Stories with Lonzo. I am Dusty Vision. That is Alonzo Williams, the godfather of West Coast hip-hop. Quick shout-out to the chat. I see my dude D. Cause, Derek Mallory, D. Minor, Marlon Cozy. I love you all, you guys, man. Isaiah Edwards, Chris Stacks, 101, the boys STEM Radio. Shout out to all you guys. Retired Senior Chief, U.S. Navy. Thank you again for your service. Much love, and thank you guys for participating tonight. Let's get to some of the questions, Lonzo. Unless you did you have anything before we head off? Before we jump into the questions?
Do you think?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Boom, boom, boom. This is a good one. D-Cause says, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, when Snoop said, "Let it be known" at the Source Award show, street dudes knew what that meant. To me, that set off the East Coast, West Coast things. And he said, what are your thoughts? Lonzo, what do you think started the East Coast, West Coast situation?
Source Magazine.
That's what I think too. Talk to it. Talk about it.
See, we as hip hop heads, black folks, we're easily manipulated, man. We easily manipulated. And all somebody got to do is throw a rock, hide their hands, and point at somebody else. And we quick to run over there and start whooping on somebody's ass. And man, what you whooping on my ass for? What I do? Oh, man, you threw that rock. I ain't doing a rock. Now you climb. Now you got to retaliate. And it was done. Things like that have been done for decades. Okay. It was done in the hood by some boys in blue. They would drop off Crips in Bloods territory. They whoop their ass first and drop off some Crips in Bloods territory, and vice versa, and the SA territories too. But when it comes to the media, you got people that can edit, re-edit, and put words in your mouth that you may have said, but not in the contents in what they put it. And they just sit back and wait to see what the reaction is going to be. Okay. And once they see the reaction, they kept feeding it, because one thing about it, them numbers are gonna generate some ad sales. And any magazine, YouTube channel, Twitter channel, TikTok, Instagram, all of them want the same thing: eyeballs and ears. Super Bowl ads are in the millions. We get paid. I get a little check every month for having ads on this content. So when you create, and you're a content creator, whether it be a newspaper, a YouTube channel, TikTok channel, you want eyes and ears. And when you get eyes and ears through controversy, you realize that's a good way to get your money. Shoot, when Source Magazine was popping, we didn't have the internet. People, one of my buddies, he owned his own magazine as well, Rap Pages. And a lot of things he straightened out because he knew better. But again, you got folks that didn't really care. I got to say allegedly just to keep us from getting sued. But that was always my take. They kind of fueled that situation. And yes, there was some stupid things said, but instead of de-escalating, they were escalated. And that's how you got the East Coast, West Coast beef.
Yeah, I blame media myself, man. I blame media myself. Do you remember, and actually, you know what, Marlon wants to know, Marlon Cozy had a question that we weren't able to get to. He says, what were some of the slang words from back in your day, Lonzo? And shout out to Marlon Cozy. It's like he was reading my mind. Good looking out. He says, yo, Unc, I'm a miss, as I'll be in Houston, but I want to drop a little something in the basket. Thank you so much, Marlon. We really appreciate you, brother. But what are some of the slang words, Lonzo, from back in the day, man?
Man, how far back? Because I go back there.
Let's go back to the 70s. 70s and 80s. We know all the freshes and dopes and stuff like that. But what were you guys saying in the 70s? Like if you saw a fine chick, a girl, you wanted to smoke some weed, like what are some slang words for stuff like that?
That's a bad mamma jamma. That was a real slang. That's bad mamma jamma right there, boy.
Before the song or after the song? Do you remember before the song or after? Oh wow, so it was okay.
Took it and ran with it. We had songs like, man, you jive turkey. I mean, that was some real shit. You a jive turkey, man. You turkey. You jive turkey. Jive turkey and the mark is the same thing.
Did that mean you were full of BS, or what is the jive turkey?
But
Driving me?
it's like being a mark. You know how some cats call you a mark? You know, that means you kind of weak. You ain't you ain't got you don't have nothing to really work with. You just, you know, you're jive turkey, man. You know, you trying to sell us wolf tickets. Wolf tickets was another one. You know, wolf tickets is woo 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 woo. I ain't buying them damn wolf tickets. You know, what else did we have, man? We had a lot of crazy. Weed was a lead. An ounce of weed was a lead. Okay, four finger ounce of weed, $10 was called a lid. LID. Okay, we smoked joints. We didn't smoke blunts. You know, we had little reefer. You know, that was another thing. We that was a big thing. Reefer. You know, pot. That was another thing. We didn't call it N.W.A. It didn't have a name, but what did have names? We didn't get that shit. We didn't get no Columbia. We got Columbia in every blue moon and other things like that. Cops was the fuzz. That was it. Pigs. They still call them pigs, but they was more like fuzz back then. Keep trucking, keep on trucking. That means get on. You know, let's get on. Making bacon. That was one of my favorite ones. Making bacon. That was fucking okay. Making bacon. And I had a van back in the day, boy, and I had a sign on my van. If you see this van rocking, there ain't no need of knocking. Okay, that was some real shit. Of course, grass. That was marijuana and young blood. Now we was calling each other. We was back in the day. The word blood was a term of endearment. It was not gang related.
Before gangs, it was sure. Yeah, talk about that.
Young blood, you know what I'm saying? And it took me a while to get reacclimated to not using the word around certain people. Even the word cuz. My family, what's up, cousin? What's up, cuz? You know, that's my cousin. You know, and I said it one time and got checked. Like, what are you talking about? That's my blood cousin. Blood cousin. It was all messed up, dude. And that was some weird shit. That was a weird transition for us. Yeah, Mr. Union, you dig? You know, you dig that, man. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? I mean, dig it was like that was like another one of those words that had multiple inflections. Can you dig this? You dig that, man? You follow what I'm saying? That's basically what you dig stood for. It was a lot of shit, man. Have you ever watched one of those airplane movies with O.J. Simpson and another white dude? There's two brothers on the plane. He's talking so much slang, he has to have an interpreter because we had slangs like that, dude. You know, and then brothers would throw in different little words, like remember Damon Wayans from In Living Color when he was the prisoner? He used them there.
Oh, I love that. And so I gotta say the pontificis of the clitoral stimulation.
Right. That brothers was trying to be heavy like that back then. So yeah, we had all that shit right there.
That's hilarious, bro. Hey, you know what? I had a question, man. Speaking of pot, grass, lids, all that. Cheech and Chong was from LA. They are from LA. How big was Cheech and Chong in the black community, in the hood?
Oh, it was huge. You know what? I was telling somebody that the other day. Dude, we didn't care about the color of nothing back then, dude. In the 70s, we didn't care about the color. I was playing some music in my car. Me and a friend was riding. What you doing with that white boy music? We didn't. Back in the day, Hall & Oates, David Bowie, even Elton John. They played them on the black stations. Benny and the Jets. Come on, man. I grew up on that shit. So we didn't have the same type of musical racial lines back then, dude. Man, everybody loved Gino Vanelli. Was that Gino Vanelli? Gino Vanelli? Yeah, I think it was Gino. We didn't know that Sarah Smile was a white boy. Hold on. Bobby Caldwell was a white boy till later on. You know, if it was good, we listened to it, dude. So we didn't have no musical racial boundaries, nothing like that, dude. R&B and soul music. If you could sing as a white boy and you got played on a black station, it was nobody cared, dude. Nobody cared. We listened to. I just made me a USB drive with Wham, George Michael's Wham, and what's that dude's name? Come on. I used to love
Culture Club. That was my shit.
Come on, man. All that shit. Boss Skaggs, yes, he was white. All these cats, yes. Gino Vanelli, yeah, they was white, dude, and we didn't care. And yes, we love some Phil Collins, man. That dude was off the chain when he was doing this thing, dude. All that shit. It was a very fluid era, the 80s, when it came to music and styles. And I think that's one of the things that some people may have not liked, because everything was so fluid, so intertwined, dude. It was just cool.
I love that.
And then
even going back, let's go. I want to, because I was a big Cheech and Chong fan as a kid, even before I knew what they were even talking about. I didn't know nothing about weed, none of that. But from your eyes, what do you remember about their come up? And did you ever see them at a comedy club or anything? Because I know that's kind of where they got their start.
I just love their movies, man. Because there was some hood movies for real, okay? Them Cheech and Chong Ice Dreams, man, or the Nice Dreams, shit.
Yes.
That was hilarious, man. That shit was hilarious. And then they always put some pretty girls in their movies. They had some stupid shit they did. And it was always had some kind of crazy ass drug experience. The funniest scene I remember from Cheech and Chong, one of their movies, at the end of the movie, Cheech was locked up in a insane asylum. They had him in a straitjacket. And he was tied up. Scratch my balls into my face.
Yeah.
My balls. I can't. That shit cracks me up today, dude. Man, I've watched that shit, man. I watched Cheech and Chong maybe a few months ago just to refresh my memory, dude. And it was a different time. And I remember seeing them shoot that shit. There was one scene they shot up in Hollywood. I was in Hollywood and saw the street all blocked off, and they were shooting that particular scene. It was they were shooting on Ivar, man. I forgot what the scene was, but I remember seeing them out there in the lowrider and shit, and I was doing something in Hollywood. But yeah, that was the movie. If I ain't mistaken, they funded some of that shit, man. They were silly, but they were cutting edge for their times, dude. They were cutting edge for their time. And I remember when Chong went to jail for selling. He did like a year, 18 months for selling paraphernalia. So he had a paraphernalia store.
Right, bro. Yeah, isn't that crazy, man?
Let me tell you why it run with me. I was working for the record distributor, Record Shack, out of Compton, and we used to sell drug paraphernalia. That was part of our because we called them head shop. That's another one. We had head shops back in the day. Okay, we had what they call head shop. Head shops sold your incense. They had your posters, your black lights, your strobe lights. You could get, because marijuana was so illegal back then, they had all kinds of devices to hide your drugs in. Coca-Cola cans with the screw off bottom. You could buy a cut for any drug. I ain't gonna get into it on YouTube. You can buy a cut for any drug at the time. And our distribution company sold marijuana paraphernalia, pipes, all kind of shit. And that was kind of one of my specialties. And I remember I got a bonus because at one point in time, they banned weed paraphernalia in California. And I sold the whole damn our whole warehouse, whatever we had, to a cat in Arizona, like 10 grand worth of shit. And I got a bonus of about $50 for doing that shit, okay? $50. I was happy camper. But that's how things shifted. Because I think it was like 70, had to be like 74 when they started banning the sale of drug paraphernalia, okay? Pipes and bongs, yeah, all that kind of shit. Water pipes, we had everything. Good ones too. And California banned the sale because I used to go to a spot over on on Market Street called New World. New World was on off of Market Street, and it was on the corner of Market Street and Manchester, and they had everything. All the shit I just mentioned. Like I said, they had Coca-Cola cans. I still got one right to this day. I have an oil can that the bottom of it screws off, And if you shake it, it sounds like some oil in the damn thing, but it's not. It's a false bottom, and it's called a personal safe. But that was just another way of you transporting your weed without the cops finding out what's going on. You could have a can of oil, because most times cars back then, if they was raggedy enough, you needed to carry oil with you at all times just to get you back and forth to work.
You know, nowadays you can walk into any store, get whatever kind of weed you want. When I was a kid, you know, I had a pager, and we would have to page the weed guy, and we meet up in a Food for Less parking lot. The weed guy was always late, and I'm sitting there because I really wanted my weed, and there was no cell phone, so you can call and be like, where you at? You know, so it was kind of hard in the 90s, but going back to your day, Lonzo, in the 70s and stuff like that, you know, how hard or easy was it to get weed? And were there certain areas in LA, certain spots in LA that were known to, you know, people, hey, you can go get some weed over there, you know, type shit?
Yes, my neighborhood. All right, one of my partners I grew up with, we all grew up on the same block over off of Carlton. My boy, he had the whole area sold up like Nino Brown. He had it sold up like, and all he sold was weed. All he sold was weed. He had a fantastic connection, and he was smart enough to get a scanner, and he had a cast of walkie-talkies in various areas, because where we lived. I lived on the dead end. Cops couldn't come in but one way, and you could see them coming. So if you had somebody on the corner, you had plenty enough time to hide your stash. And my man was very successful for quite some time. One guy on one corner sold halves, the other sold nickels and dimes, and you know, if you wanted something bigger than that, somebody had to run out to the house to pick it up. And he was very successful for a long time. It took the cops forever to catch his ass. It took the cops forever. And the cops almost pretty much, they caught him, but he ended up having some internal issues. It really brought his whole thing down. But yeah, Doc, and my neighborhood, that's why I tell people my old man thought I was selling dope, because everybody in my neighborhood did. You know, over by where I lived off of Jarvis and Carlton, the neighborhoods around us didn't really do that. They knew to come over my neighborhood to get what they wanted, and it was always like that. And but it was never no shooting back then. But eventually people started getting shot, but in the beginning, it was just business, man. It was just business.
No, I love your stories, man, about, you know, growing up, and you know, a city that's near and dear to my heart, and a lot of people's heart actually, is the city of Hollywood. You know, Hollywood isn't as glamorous today as it once was. Now, unfortunately, it's filled with homeless. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, they're everywhere. But you know, there was a time where people came and they wanted to see Hollywood Boulevard. They wanted to see Sunset and Vine. You know, when you were coming up, talk to me about Hollywood. Did you ever go out to Hollywood and do your thing? And you know, what was Hollywood like back then?
I didn't get to Hollywood till I was damn near grown. I heard about it, and by the time I was going to college at El Camino, I took a lighting class. I had an acting class and a lighting class at El Camino, and my lighting class instructor told me where I could rent lights at, and it was a place on Ivar. I was by there just 2 weeks ago, man. It's not there no more, of course. And I got familiar with Hollywood, and because Hollywood was intimidating at first, just like you said, people heard so much about it, it could be intimidating. And when you finally got there and realized it ain't all that, you know, it was cool if you wasn't from LA, it could be very impressive. All the stars on the streets, and then you see lookalikes walking down the street like Marilyn Monroe and Batman, and you know, different folks. And after a while, you realize they were just hustling like everybody else, you know. And then when I started hanging out at the clubs, I was more impressed with the club life, because it was back in the day. Clubs were literally across the street from each other, dude. Literally across the street. If one wasn't jumping, just cross the street. You leave Carlos and Charlie's and go over to damn, I can't think of that club right now. But I tell you, the club that always impressed me in Hollywood, and that was Disco 9000. They made a movie about it, and they made a record about it, and it was a club. It was on 9000 Sunset on the penthouse. 9000 Sunset. That's what it's called, Disco 9000. And being that I'm afraid of heights, to be at that high was always a concern. But when you got to party and had a couple of drinks, you stopped giving a damn. But yeah, those were my impressive years of Hollywood, man. I would always go to the Comedy Store. That's where I met Richard Pryor, Arsenio Hall, Eddie Murphy would come through there, Jay Leno. Everybody was broke. Everybody was broke. Everybody was broke. And it just was Paul Mooney. Eddie Murphy was a kid. And back in this time, man, in the early 80s and 90s, you'd run into Prince at the club. You'd run into Eddie Murphy at the club. It was, folks would just be there. It was Hollywood would attract that kind of crowd. And then they had clubs in Hollywood, like on Thursday night, they had Paradise. And that was the Black Night. And all the brothers would come to the Black Night. And like I said, if somebody was making a movie or recording an album or something, they went to see what people were dancing to. And this was my experience with Hollywood. Then I started hanging out in Hollywood because of Macola, and it got real familiar with me.
Yeah, man. Hey, Stim Radio has a request. He says one of his favorite Lonzo stories is when your brother smoked a joint on the People Mover at Disneyland. Can you tell that story again?
Oh, man. My brother loved smoking weed. My brother smoked weed. My daddy was one of the coolest dads in the world. He told us, I don't care if you smoke, you just can't smoke in the house. I smoked out in the backyard, and my old man never saw me. He said, I can't smoke in the house. I don't want to see you high. Okay. And that was my rule. So my brother moved to my dad's house. My brother would smoke in the bedroom, walk out, take a piss, high as some bitch, didn't give a damn. And grad night, my brother went to Gardena High School, and I guess he figured that by the People Mover being so slow and going through all this darkness, he can get away with smoking a joint. His partner was on the People Mover also, but he was ahead of my brother on another car. And he said, my brother and the date went to the People Mover, and they was talking and laughing. All of a sudden, the People Mover stopped for a hot second, and he got out, and my brother never came out the People Mover. He never came out. And my brother, he said, man, that mouse got all kinds of shit. They took us off the People Mover and took us to jail like it took us to Mickey Mouse jail and shit. My daddy had to drive all the way to Anaheim, pick my brother up behind a goddamn joint, smoking weed in the People Mover. My old man was pissed. No bullshit. Disneyland had night vision for decades. All them dark ass rides, somebody looking like it's broad daylight. They've had night vision forever. Okay? You ain't getting away with shit. People think they can go through Disneyland or the Haunted Mansion and dump ashes. Oh, no. They're gonna snatch your ass up their ride and take you to Mickey Mouse jail. No bullshit. They say one of the biggest, not really crimes, but one of the biggest headaches is people dumping ashes at Disneyland, especially in the Haunted Mansion.
I didn't know about that. Interesting. First time ever hearing of that.
People, they will ban you. They will ban you for life from all Disney parks for doing it. Because some people, man, it's people. What was I talking? I was talking to my son. He was at Disneyland last week. He said he met a couple. They've been season pass holders for 40 years. They go to Disneyland all the time. And he says people that they had gone with, one of them died, and they wanted to be buried, wanted to have their ashes spread at Disneyland. Well, let somebody catch you doing that shit, and they'll fuck around and get you banned for life. No bullshit.
Huh. Makes sense. Okay. Yep. Damn, that's crazy. D-Minor wants to know, did Chris the Glove ever work with you, and what role did he play with Death Row Records? Shout out Chris the Glove. He's been on my show before. Go to my channel and check out the interview with Chris the Glove.
Chris the Glove was a good buddy of mine, but he never worked with me. Him and Dre, he was the one that kind of got Dre on the west side. I was making underground records, Z-Rocks, cut-ups, house parties, mixed tricks, and Dre and Geller was mixing those records, and Chris he was doing the same thing on the other side of town, and somehow or another, him and Dre hooked up, and they became friends. And I didn't really start hanging out with. I knew of Chris, but I didn't really hang out with Chris for the last maybe 5-6 years. We became super cool. Now, he was around. He was always a West Side dude. Him and Ice-T. They had a record called damn it, I forgot the name of the record.
Not Slice. I'm thinking that's you guys. What am I talking about? I know what you're talking about, though. It's a great song.
Yeah, great record.
Yeah, he was in Breaking. He was the guy in Breaking next to Ice-T.
Right. It had used to always wear a little
Michael Jackson glove, for lack of better words.
Yeah, sheath on his arm with spikes and stuff. We never got into spikes and shit. That was never our thing. And but he eventually, because him and Dre got so cool. And Chris is a real musician. He's not just he's not a mechanical. He can do shit. And he became cool with Dre. And as a Death Row thing started to develop, he became one of the integral parts of Reckless. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, Reckless. Thank you.
There you go. There you go. That's what I was looking for. Reckless.
Yeah, he also produced Pro Broken Lonely.
Yeah, he did a lot. He did the Firms album with Nas and Foxy Brown and AZ. He did a lot for Dre when Dre left. A lot of people know this. You may know this, Lonzo, that he did a lot for Dre when Dre started Aftermath. Once he left Death Row, he was responsible for the Been There, Done That, the Been Rap. You know, he did that. He did a lot of stuff, man. He did Phone Tap, Got Your Phone Tap, What You Gonna Do? And like you said, he was a musician, dude.
Yeah, he's a musician for real. Yeah. I was with him. Well, we haven't hung out since last year at the NAMM show. But yeah, very cool brother. Very cool brother.
Yeah, man. Well, damn, we got a few more minutes. Let's see. D-Cause says, Lonzo, do you know about Paradise 24?
Hell
Uh-oh.
yeah.
Uh-oh. I feel it's the head. Uh-oh.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I need a sound effect. Hold on there. Let me find something for Paradise 24. Oh, shit. I can't think of nothing. Hold on. Man. Paradise 24 every Thursday night. Every Thursday night, we went to Paradise 24. Paradise 24 was around in my heyday. My partner, he was on the show a few months ago. Fila Al had a limousine. Fila Al would pick me up, me, him, Johnny J, and a couple other homies would roll to Paradise 24 and not even go in, just pull up in the parking lot. I'm sitting in the limo, popped out the sunroof, and I'd just be looking at chicks. Fila Al was playing that Jerome role. You know, that's my boy Lonzo from World Class Wreckin Cru. I ought to come by and hang out with us for a while. Who's that? Oh, yeah. And no, like fish, they jump in the limo. And we have a ball on a regular basis. That coming to Paradise, going to Paradise 24 was like fishing in a barrel, for real. That's where you would see Prince at. That's when he was hanging out with a big white boy, big chick. He had this big ass white boy bodyguard. He hang out with him. Eddie Murphy would be there. Rumor had it Mike was. I never saw him myself, but rumor had it Mike was in the building from time to time. So all the actors and actresses of the 80s would at some point in time be at Paradise 24 on a Thursday night, folks. Now it was a gay bar Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but on Thursdays it was nigga night.
Show up on the wrong night. Oops.
Oops. Oops, you've in the wrong room. Too late.
Oh, man. Yeah, check out that Fila Al interview. There's a very funny limousine story from what I do remember. A limousine and a baby mama, I do believe.
Yeah, she called the house looking for Fila Al. Boy, he left me with all the women. Left home. That limousine turned my car on 2 wheels. That nigga hates ain't no bullshit. He hit the corner like that. That limousine was literally on 2 wheels. I never seen a man grab all his shit. All he had on was a shirt. He had on his pants and shirt. They had no shoes. Everything was in his hand. Threw it in the car and left. I gotta go, Lonzo. Left me with all the women. But we had a ball.
Too funny, man. I love hearing your stories, Lonzo. Always a pleasure. Before we bounce, I'm going to remind everybody to please hit that like button if you haven't already. And make sure you check out the Eve After Dark documentary. I know Jay Roos Theory just mentioned that he saw it and he really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. It's only $1.99 on Amazon Prime. It's a great, great watch, especially if you are a true West Coast hip-hop fan. It's called Eve After Dark on Amazon Prime. And other than that, any last words, Lonzo?
Man, at 9:15, I get to see the first cut of my other documentary, N.W.A. Now Without Alonzo. It's coming, folks. It's coming. It's coming to a film festival near you, N.W.A. And this is right here, man. It's the same brother that produced the Eve documentary, but we got it's a whole different story. This is my story. This is my story. Wreckin Cru, N.W.A, club, my connections to everybody. And it breaks down my history, my story in a way that I think is going to be very interesting, folks. My first viewing tonight at 9:15. Dusty, what you doing?
Yeah, viewing. Send me the link.
I want you to be on the link with us tonight, all right?
I would love to, man. Send me the link. I'm there.
All right, folks. I'm out of here. And like I always say, for those who never heard of me, I'm the first one to put Dr. Dre into surgery, stuck Ice Cube in the freezer till he got cold. On the eve after dark, 50-yard line Super Bowl. In the music straight out of Compton, they played me like a hater of rap. Don't believe that Hollywood bullshit. It was all cap. My history goes deeper than you'll ever know. Just remember that N.W.A stands for Not Without a Lonzo. Peace, folks.